What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today's video, we're gonna be going over some pretty cool baits here. We're gonna be taking a look at the brand new Berkley Nessie. I got it right here. Check it out. If this is your first look at the Nessie, guys, definitely take it all in. It is a soft glide bait. It's very similar in profile to something like an S-Waver or a clutch darter, something more along the lines of a herring profile where it's long and skinny, as opposed to really tall like a shad profile, traditionally that you see on a lot of glide baits like a Hinkle shad or like a Zimmer glide bait or something of those sorts. So these ones here, the Berkley Nessie, they come in 3 different sizes, but we're really going to be focusing on the 9-inch version today. So they come in a 5-inch, a 7-inch, and a 9-inch. I actually got this one at iCast to play around with. I was able to get a couple of these just to test out, do some content on them. And what I absolutely love about this Nessie here is the low price. Guys, we're also going to be talking about a bait that people talk about online a lot, comparing it to the Nessie, or comparing the Nessie to this bait here, and they call this the original. This is the Grow Design Works Flag 255. Now we're going to be talking about the Nessie, talking about the Grow Design Works Flag 255, kind of the similarities and differences. So, you know, I actually really want to talk about the Flag first. Now, over in Japan, Grow Design Works has been making these baits for quite a while. Many people say he was the first one to do it, and you know, right off the bat, this is actually just a flash carp color scheme on it. He makes a bunch of different color schemes. Some of my favorite are like the lime ice ones where chartreuse and white. I also have a rainbow trout one as well, but right here, this bait is 10.2 inches long. It is fully soft plastic, and the tail here is very, very floppy, which provides a huge amount of action in the water. It looks extremely lifelike. The bait itself weighs 3.2 ounces, so it's a little hefty bait. You know, it's not super, super heavy. You can throw it on like a heavy power, extra heavy power for traditional bass rods, and we'll talk about some of my suggestions for both these two baits, the Nessie and the Flag. But you know, kicking it off, guys, one really, really neat thing, and I think the big standout part about this bait compared to hard baits is the mesh joint in the middle. I doubt you can see it. I mean, you can see the joint, but you can't see the mesh inside. When you hold it up to the light, guys, you can see the mesh that was used to hold this bait together, and the mesh runs all the way up to around the head of the bait and all the way down towards the tail section of the bait to make sure this bait here does not fall apart on you. It's very, very durable. And it comes with a 2/0 sized hook on it. I believe it's a Ryugi. It's Teflon coated, extremely smooth for easy hook penetration. One thing that you're going to notice in terms of hardware on this bait here are the split rings and the swivel. They're very, very low profile, which as a power finesse fisherman, I really enjoy. You know, you don't have to put a 160-pound rated swivel on here, or, you know, like a 200-pound rated split ring. Very minimalistic, and really the extent of what you need for this bait. So again, it's 3.2 ounces, little over 10 inches long, 255 millimeters. And what's cool about it too is the hook keeper in here. There's a little slot in the bottom that's pre-cut in there, so you don't have to keep sticking your hook in and having it pull out and rip out plastic. But it very easily comes out just like this. I love how it's close to the head as well. You see the harness from the nose of the bait to the hook itself is very close, and it's going to keep that bait and keep that fish really close to the hook. So as it swings around, especially with help from that swivel, it's not going to be popping off. It's not going to throw your bait anywhere. Very, very secure. So that is one objective thing I really enjoy about this bait. I love the 3D eyes as well. The eyes are pointed down just a little bit. So as you work this bait, it is a slow sink bait, a very, very, very slow sink bait. So when it sits at the surface, it's kind of looking down, scanning for predatory fish like bass, you know, any type of bass, smallmouth bass, striper, you know, smallmouth even. And he does make a smaller size, the 170 size, which is very, very similar, just sized down a little bit. Now, obviously, when it comes down to the soft joint, guys, it's going to fold over very, very easily. It's going to have a very lifelike action from the full body tail kicks as it's going S-ing through the water. You can work it a wide variety of different ways. A straight retrieve is going to give you a very solid S swimming motion. You can chop it and get some really cool, like almost like 200-degree turns where it's turning all the way around. And overall, just an amazing, amazing bait from the chances that I've had to take it out on the water. Now, moving over to the Berkley Nessie, y'all. So this, again, is the 9-inch, 2 ounces, very, very, very slow sink. Now, this bait here does have power bait mixed into it, which is Berkley's formula, not patented, but it's their formula for a fish attractant. Basically, as fish bite it, they're not going to let go of it, and they claim it holds fish on for up to 18% longer than your standard plastics. Some of the big differences about this bait are going to be the hard fins on the bait here. So each bait does have stabilizing fins on the front and on the back of the bait. You know, right here on the flag, these are actually soft. They're angled down slightly, so it does plane out through the water very easy as your line is pointed up. Fins are pointed down, and it's going to keep it down in the water column. Berkley has opted to go with hard fins here. And guys, we are trying to get some flags in for y'all. I know they are extremely popular. They sell out in literally minutes online. So if we can source those flags there, we will try to get them. But the Nessies here are going to be in very, very soon, and we're looking forward to it. There is a huge price difference between the flag and the Nessie, and we'll talk about that at the end. But back on the hard fins of the Nessie, guys, that is one major thing that Berkley has changed with the bait. And obviously, each company has taken inspiration or even stolen ideas from other companies in some manner or form, just because that's how our industry works. You know, everyone's using ideas and new technology in each of their baits, their rods, their reels, and implementing it in their own way into their own baits. Now, I stand, you know, pretty neutral. I don't like to have huge opinions on most things that go on in the industry. Obviously, if something's just like morally entirely wrong, I'm gonna call it out. But something like this, you know, they do change a lot of different things on this bait. And there have been other soft baits like this on the market as well that haven't received as much backlash as the Berkley Nessie. Obviously, it's an American company taking this Japanese idea, I guess, of grow design and kind of making it their own. So we're gonna keep talking about the Nessie here. The hard fins, it will help it stabilize. One issue I do have with the hard fins though, and this is just me, I really enjoy fishing the bait. It's very easy to fish, but in terms of fish ability, you know, taking this Nessie here and folding it up is not as easy as the flag here. You can see the flag easily folds over. I mean, you can crunch it up into a smaller ball than the Nessie just because of the hard fins here. The joint design as well is a big player. You see here it goes basically straight at a 90. The flag folds over all the way into a U, and I think that's pretty neat. So in terms of what I think hookup ratio would be, the Nessie is a little bit smaller. I wouldn't say it's worse, but I think that it's not substantially worse anyway, but you definitely should have a little bit easier hookup ratio and land ratio with the grow design. And that does play into the price difference of each bait. So, you know, the Grow Design Works Flag 255 will retail for around $99.99, and the Nessie will sell for about $17, maybe even less than that. I think the most expensive model is like $17, but one big difference as well is going to be the paintbrush tail as opposed to the soft plastic tail. Right here, I don't really have an issue with paintbrush tails. I really do enjoy soft tails a little bit more. It seems like you can work the bait a little bit easier with a plastic tail just because it has a little more mass in it, especially on the back end. You're gonna get a little bit more accentuated S motion as you chop it and as you just regularly work it through the water column. So the bait, again, weighs 2 ounces, so it's definitely lost an inch, and it's lost almost 1.25 ounces on the flag here. So those are just kind of the main things I want to talk about. When it comes down to fishing the Nessie, I have found, since it does not have the full, you know, wide range of action, adding a loop knot or adding a snap on the front of your bait here will really benefit you fishing this bait. Now, typically I have found a 15 or 16 pound line, even 14 to 16 pound line is what I like the most for this bait here. If you're really putting it in like tight spaces like docks, reeds, trees, anything like that, I would go up to 17, but I really wouldn't go over that. This bait isn't that heavy. It is very, very easy to work. You don't have to put a lot of input into it, almost no rod input, only reel input, like quarter turns, maybe even like sixth turns on kind of more choppy retrieve with that lighter line. And we do have a huge restock of Seaguar and VizX, Seaguar Red Label, Sunline Shooter and Sunline Sniper here. So definitely check out those bulk spools, fill up your swim bait rods and swim bait reels. And you really don't need a huge reel for this. You know, I threw this on a 150 Corrado MGL, worked totally fine on 15 pound line on Seaguar and VizX. And I also threw this on my 200 Corrado K, as well as the Lose 300 Super Duty. I didn't enjoy the Super Duty as much. I think it was totally overkill with that slower gear ratio and that swim bait speed. It felt like the bait wasn't getting the input it needed, especially with 20 pound line. So that 150, 200 size range is absolutely perfect for this guy here. When it came down to fishing the flag though, having it on a 200 size reel was almost needed, mainly for the fact that it is a 3-ounce bait. You really want to fish around 17 pound line, maybe even 20. I wouldn't go as far to say that you need 20 pound line. And the difference between fluoro and mono, I didn't have that much. I threw one with mono for a little bit as a leader, you know, a shock leader basically. I didn't like it that much. Straight fluoro, 17 to 20 pound, perfect. And I don't recommend you using a snap on this bait here. The action that you get out of the head is much more accentuated, mainly because of the full weight of the bait, and I think that extra tail weight definitely adds a whole lot to it. It's almost more of a head motion as it swims, more than a secondary tail motion as the water pushes back and hits the joint and moves the tail. So those are some key points that I really think are important about the flag and on the Nessie. When it comes down to the rods, guys, let's take a look at some. All right, so when it comes to swim bait rods, guys, you know, the ones that I really recommend and love, absolutely love, are the Leviathan swim bait rods. Now, the main rods that I feel like are the best for the flag or for the Nessie, any soft glide bait, there's not many of them out there, but for the ones in that category, I highly recommend a more parabolic action rod. Typically for these baits here, between a medium heavy and a heavy, I feel like you don't need the extra heavy. You know, it is a single hook. I believe this is a one-aught. I believe the Nessie's a 1-aught hook, but the flag is a 2-aught hook, and you know, you do need a little bit of power as you set the hook into these, but not too much. You know, you don't want to overpower it. You don't want to rip the hook out of the fish's mouth. And more importantly, as that fish opens its mouth to eat the bait, you know, as the bait goes into the fish's mouth, they create a vacuum almost, suck the bait in. You want a more parabolic rod, not as fast of an action. And the two that really, I think, speak to me the most are going to be the Leviathan Omega series and the medium heavy and the heavy. Now the medium heavy is rated for a 12 to 25 pound line in a 1 to 4 ounce, you know, so that's going to be perfectly in the range of the Nessie and in the flag. The heavy is rated for 12 to 30 pound line, 2 to 6 ounces. So this one might be a little bit heavy for the Nessie. It's still perfectly fine. I feel like it does have a very moderate tip section, and it has a parabolic taper throughout the rod as you load into the fish. The medium heavy, I think, is going to be able to do it all a little bit better than the heavy, but you know, personal preference is always what I like to go with. You know, that's why we have so much stuff here in the store. We'd like to let y'all come by, experiment with it. We've got a pond in the back. If you want to take a bait out and fish with it, by all means, just let us know before you do it. You know, that's what we're all about here, trying to get something that fits your unique style And that's why we've got so many different things out here. So if you're not looking to spend, $300+ guys, two other amazing options are gonna be the Dobbins. Dobbins are generally what most people start out, swim baiting. My first swim bait rod was this rod right here. This is a 795 Dobbins in the Fury series, and that's the green series. It is rated for 1 to 5 ounces. It's a medium heavy fast action, so very similar to that Omega medium heavy in terms of the action, taper, almost everything like that. It's a little bit heavier. Obviously, you're paying $140, so a lot less than the Leviathan rod, but you're getting a pretty great bang for your buck. And a lot of people start out with this Fury rod here. It's very budget friendly, and it has an amazing action as well. Now, a step up from that, a little bit more around the $270 price point, I believe, is going to be the Champion Champion XP. And this one here is going to be the 795 as well, rated 1 to 5 ounces. Still has an amazing parabolic action. It feels a little bit faster. It's almost a medium heavy hybrid. I absolutely love this rod. It's a lot lighter. It does have a little bit shorter grip section in the back. However, it's still an amazing rod. You can easily put inputs into it. And like I said, you don't need a lot of rod input in these soft glide bait categories. So definitely try something out, with the Flag and with the Nessie. They're both very, very different when it comes down to it, but I absolutely love both of them. If my camera would focus, I absolutely love both of these. They each kind of have their own time and place. I feel like the Flag is much easier to skip around just because it is very flowy. It doesn't, it folds up, balls up very easily, and I don't have any issue with the hook keeper here. Obviously, I don't know if I mentioned this, I kind of forget, but the hook keeper on the Nessie, there is a little patent pending pin right here that actually holds your hook in place as you skip it around docks and stuff like that. So that is one aspect of the Nessie that I do really enjoy. Your hook really stays in there. It doesn't roll side to side at all because of the harness inside the bait here. So your hook isn't moving, stays there, skipping around docks, skipping it under docks, around docks, anything like that. So, the rods, highly recommend the Omega series from Leviathan. Also highly recommend the Dobbins series and the Fury and the Champion XP. For reels, guys, you can get away with a whole bunch of different reels, like I said earlier. Kind of just do what best fits you. Make sure you check out all of our other cool stuff online, lakeprotackle.com, everyone. New customers can save 10% off their first order with us online with code NEW10. For more information about that, check down in the description. We've always got some really cool stuff going on down there. Definitely keep up with our sales going on as well. The best way to reach us is to shoot us an email or DM us on Instagram or Facebook. I'm always on my phone, making sure I can chat with y'all on a very constant basis. We put out really cool stories day to day. We get to show you Clark, our bass, and other cool stuff. So definitely check it out, lakeprotackle.com, Lake Pro Tackle on Instagram and Facebook. We'll see you next time, guys. Lake Pro Tackle. See ya.